Throughout the course, many of the Italian Renaissance literature exhibited the theme of humanism. Humanism is most commonly applied to the cultural movement in Renaissance Europe, characterized by a revival of classical letters, an individualistic and critical spirit, and a shift of emphasis from religious to secular concerns of the human agent. Petrarch's Secretum, Boccaccio's Decameron, and Machiavelli's The Prince all demonstrate how humanism took its form in Italian Renaissance literature.
In Petrarch's Secretum, there is much controversy surrounding the legitimacy of the story. Despite this, Petrarch composes a kind of Socratic dialogue in which he discusses his unconditional love for Laura and passion for immortal fame as a writer with St. Augustine. St. Augustine attempts to persuade the character, Francesco, to admit his guilt and agree to a personal reformation in light of his aforementioned faults. Petrarch's Secretum is a riveting example of our discussed theme, humanism. We have defined humanism as the attachment of importance to the human rather than the divine or supernatural. Humanism stresses the value and goodness of humans as well as their common needs and places emphasis on the rational solution to human problems. The introduction of the Secretum notes that the reader is not told what lessons to draw, but rather this is ultimately part of the fascination of the story. The dialogue between Augustine and Francesco demonstrates that humanism in its purest form. Book 3 concludes with an ambiguous conclusion from a religious perspective, as Draper assesses in his translation of the Secretum. Between Augustine and Francesco, discussing his love for Laura. I'm Augustine and Francesco. First then, as Cicero says, there are those who think that an old love is to be expelled by a new love, just as one nail hammers out the other. If your attention is dispersed and spread out over many things, then it is directed each individual one in a less energetic way. It is recounted that the Ganges was split into countless channels by a Persian king, and thus changed from one fierce of flood into many insignificant streams.
I can have no other object for my love. My inner being is addicted to admiring her, my eyes gazing at her, and what is not her they find depressing and dismal. Thus, if you can ask me to love another in order to be free of love, you are setting me an impossible condition. It is all over. I am all done for him.
Your senses are dulled, your will is sluggish, so since you have no inner resources, we shall have to apply external remedies. Can you induce yourself to take flight or go into exile and live without the sight of the places you know so well?
I can, through the hooks that pull me back are very deeply attached.
But if you can do this, you will be saved. Alas, flee the love lands, flee the love shore. For how you can ever be safe here, where there are so many traces of the wounds inflicted on you, where you are afflicted by both what you can see now and by your memories of the past. As Cicero says, like the chronically ill, you must be treated by a change of place.
Please, be careful, I beg you, with what you prescribe. How many times in my eagerness to be cured and in full awareness of this doctorly advice have I tried running away, though I pretend to be myself, and there were various reasons. The one purpose of my journeying and rural escapes was to find freedom. In its pursuit, I have circled far and wide, gone westward and northward, as far as the edge of the great ocean. You can see what good it has done me. A Virgilian smile, and often touched my heart. Like a doe pierced by an arrow, a rash beast struck from afar, amid the Cretan woods, by a shepherd hunting, he is unaware, left the winged dart in her, and she is the flight traverses the woods and the glades of Crete, with the death-dealing shaft fixed in her flank. I am rather like that doe. I have run away, but I carry what harms with me everywhere.
In your case, you must first of all put on one side this long-standing burden of obsessions and prepare your inner self for the journey. Then you must finally make your escape, for it is an established fact regarding not just the body, but the mind of the heart too, that measures are taken are ineffective unless the patient is ready to cooperate.
Now I'm wonderfully perplexed. You present me with the lessons for healing my heart and mind, and tell me that the curing and healing must take place before any eventual escape. Yet we are debating precisely about how this curing is to occur. If it has already happened, what else is required? If it has not given, that changing place is not held, as you yourself assert, you must tell me more explicitly which treatments are to be used.
I did not speak of curing and healing, but instead of preparation. Anyway, either your mind and heart will be cured, in which case changing places will make you healthy, your healthy state continue, or you will not yet be cured, but you'll be prepared and can achieve such a state yourself. On the other hand, if neither of these is the case, what will these changes, that this rushing from one place to another, achieve beyond exacerbation of your condition? I shall continue to call Horace as witness. He says, reason and prudence take away our cares, not some spot dominating the open sea. As mentioned, the dialogue between Franciscus and St. Augustine ultimately concludes with a remaining level of envy. Franciscus acknowledges what he has done to help himself, but recognizes there is more to do. He must rely on cooperation, preparation of the inner self, and reason in order to reach a cure. Humanism centers on these: human agency, human needs, and a rational solution. Augustine directs Franciscus to the ideal cure for his problem, but humanism tells us that these human problems are not so easily remedied. Franciscus uses the arrow and doe metaphor to explain his difficulties, and Augustine must take a humanistic approach to counter this analogy. He acknowledges that this is ultimately up to Franciscus and nobody else to prepare himself for his inner journey, which will ultimately be aided by distancing himself from the love of his life world. In the end, there's no simple or straightforward answer to our problems, but rather an inner maze that must be worked rationally through and through in order for true healing. Clearly ambiguous and unsatisfactory from a divine perspective, it wholly satisfies the humanist view, from which Petrarch was so well known.
In the Decameron, humanism is the act of concentrating on the human activities and possibilities, usually downplaying or ignoring the importance of God and religious beliefs. Boccaccio tells stories that are applicable and revolve around the theme of humanism. Free will is something humans take into consideration and often act on, even if it means downplaying the rules of their religion. On the first day of the fourth novel, Boccaccio introduces a monk who had been up later than all the rest of them. He was walking alone in the church when he realized a woman kneeling at the altar. Having liked what he'd seen, the monk convinced the woman to go back to his house with him. Being a monk, he has very high religious beliefs. However, when he saw how beautiful this woman was, he pushed his beliefs aside and let his free will take over. In this tale, humanism is shown when the monk makes the decision to ignore his religious beliefs in order to fulfill his human desires. The monk is aware that what he's doing is unaccepted by his religion, yet he allows his desires to override this in order to get what he wants. Some quotes from the fourth novel on the first day narrated the events taking place. First, the quote, "Lascivious desire and no religion devotion made him draw near her," shows how the monk uses his free will and downplays his religious beliefs. Later on, the story goes on and says, "Now, while this young lusty monk was more careless of his stallion than he should have been, the Lord, being newly arisen from his sleep, walking about the cloister, came to the monk's door. He laid his ear close to the chamber door, and plainly perceived a woman was within." On the third day of the first story, a tale of Machiavelli, a man who worked in the garden, is told. One evening, Machiavelli had an extreme amount of work and decided to get some rest, so he laid down under the trees. Two nuns noticed him lying there and approached him. One of the nuns began talking about having sexual relations with Machiavelli. However, at first, the other nuns strongly disagreed. Both nuns and Machiavelli wanted something that they were not supposed to have. They considered all the consequences that would be taking place, such as being caught by becoming pregnant. Yet, even with these extreme measures, it still didn't stop them. All characters disregarded their religious beliefs and had did what they desired to do. In this tale, both Machiavelli himself and the nuns show humanism and free will. They use their free will to act as they wish and deny their religious promises. In this story, the sister says, "Ave Maria, sister, what kind of words are these you utter? Do you not know that we have promised our virginity to God? Oh, sister, how many things are promised to him every day, and not one of 1,000 kept or performed. There is another danger lying in the way. If we prove to be with child, how shall we do then? If it comes to pass, just let us consider on it then." This shows how they chose their humanistic desires over their religion.
Humanism is a philosophy that rejects supernaturalism and stresses an individual's dignity and worth and capacity for self-realization through reason. In The Prince, Machiavelli showed that people, and not necessarily supernatural forces, are responsible for their actions. The Renaissance in general exhibited this type of humanism, breaking away from the Catholic Church and its strong dogma. Instead of believing that God is responsible for everything, humanists believed that man, even with all his flaws and virtues, had a huge hand in controlling his own destiny. And for this reason, even The Prince demonstrated all these different beliefs moving away from the church, and during that time even, the church banned The Prince. Because The Prince showed that people, not necessarily supernatural forces, are responsible for their own actions. In this excerpt from The Prince, it shows it was a discussion about how much a prince's failure or success is caused by his own free will and how much is determined by nature or the environment in which he lives. Not to distinguish our free will, I hold it to be true that fortune is the arbiter of one half of our actions, but that she still leaves us to direct the other half. Or perhaps a little less. That excerpt was Machiavelli attempting to show the compromise between free will and determinism, by arguing that fortune controls half of humans, while the other half is up to us and what we control. During the Italian Renaissance age, humanists heavily believed that an individual has much to offer to the well-being of the state. And in Machiavelli's The Prince, Machiavelli demonstrates how princes should encourage individuals to follow their calling, their work, to place more value on themselves. In this excerpt, a prince must honor those who excel in every art. Moreover, he must encourage his citizens to follow their callings, whether in commerce or agriculture or any trade that men follow. The prince should offer rewards to whoever does these things, and whoever seeks in any way to improve his city or state. The Prince is an amazing example of humanism and Renaissance because Machiavelli discusses how a prince must have redeeming and not so wonderful qualities. He must relate to humans' belief looking at the different sides of humanity, our good and bad. He also advises princes to be well-rounded in a wide range of subjects, which is pretty much a term of the Renaissance man. It is a huge part of the Renaissance belief that man should have diverse skills in many subjects. You'll also note that Machiavelli does not mention religion as being a major part of becoming a prince. This ties to the major realization of secular government that came with humanism. It is also important that in this work, it becomes in the terms of the Renaissance because it gave the idea of a type of ruling that existed during that time in Italian city-states. All in all, the Italian Renaissance brought about the shift from a focus on God and the church to a focus on the individual, the human agent, ourselves, you, me. And all these literatures that we just discussed at the time exhibited this shift. For this could even be said that this shift was the start of a massive turnover from the church. At that time, as the Prince depicted, the individual takes up our decisions, make up about 50% of our actions, and God, church, supernaturals, make up the other 50%. But now let's look at from that time. One could say that back then it was 50-50, and before then it was 100-0, church, human, moved to 50-50, church, human, and now one could say that with capitalism around globalization, imperialism, colonization, from those times, it has moved away from the church to now, in 2014, one could say that the individual is responsible for his own actions, 99, 90, to just 1 or 10% of the church. This started the entire revolution of human and individualistic views and how we should focus more on ourselves than church.